Hi everyone, it's Kim. Thanks for joining me. Now that it's November, I could not wait to start the 12 Days of Stitchmas from Spellbinders, and I decided to start it in November and not December because that would give me more time to stitch up some of the pieces if I decided to use those for my holiday cards. Now, not everyone is into stitching, so I'm going to do the cards with stitching, with gems, and with nothing, just paper. So let's get started. I've gotten through the first 6 days and I've got 6 more days to go. So this is what the inside of it looks like. So I've got day 1, 2, and 3 plus day 4, 5, and 6. And let me start with day 1. And we'll take a look at all 6 days. Now there's plenty of videos out there that have already come out to show you what's in each day and also some ideas on what to do with them. I have not watched those because I didn't want to spoil the surprise for myself. So this is day 1. It's an ornament. The greenery up here is not included, just the ornament and this cute little Noel banner. And what I love is, again, you can use these pieces separate. You don't have to use Noel just with the ornament. You might have a totally different dice that you can use that with. So pick these apart. How else can you use them? This is stitched. So there's just the 3 top layers of the ornament. And then, the base piece where that's cut out, the yellowish color here. And then there's another full solid piece underneath, plus the little like string, the ornament topper, and then the little Noel. So there's a fair number of pieces in each of these die sets for every day. So this is the first one. This is stitched, very simple, not difficult, but maybe stitching isn't your thing. Before we go on, let me tell you where I got the greenery. So I pulled out some dies. I had Tim's holiday dies all together, so I just went back, but any type of holiday greenery would work. This is from an old set called Holiday Greens. So I did use that one for this piece right here. And now for just doing it with gems, I covered up all those holes. Instead of stitching in it, I put gems in it. And then for the center hole, I just put a little larger gem. So if that's more your thing, that is the way to do it. And again, these are simple. And then there's that little Noel banner. I love that. I just think that is so cute. And this is one of those things where you die cut it one night. I could sit and stitch because it's fairly simple. And then some more greenery. Again, just see what you've got in your stash. This one is from Tim again. This is called Pine Branch. So I think all of these are discontinued. But, again, get online and see if you can find them somewhere. So there it is with gemstones. And then finally, I did one with nothing. Just let the colors come through all of the holes. Now, because these were larger holes, I did put a gem on those. That's optional. But I thought I'm going to go ahead and do that just for interest purposes. I know this is probably not, brown was probably not a common color for an ornament, but I actually love it. I think it's elegant. This background piece here with kind of the little lines on it is from a Kleenex box. So don't pass up any opportunity where there might be a neat design on something that you can die cut. I think it goes great. I just happen to have this piece of paper, one piece in my stash, so I thought that looks good. Now this time the Noel I put on the bottom here, and I have the little cut in part on both ends, and I want to show you how I did that because again, you don't have to just leave it straight on one end with the little cut in on the other end. So what I did for this, and I'm going to show you the die here. There's 2 pieces. There's a background piece, a solid background piece, and then there's this little piece here that has the word that will get embossed hard enough it like cuts it out. So normally you would just put this in here if you're going to have the straight edge and have that centered all the way around that background piece. Well, I need a little more space. So what I did is I butted these two edges that are cut out for that cutout in together. Don't overlap, but just butt them together and die cut it out. And then this gives me a little more room here. Now, I did think, okay, I can cut this out, then flip it around and die cut the other end. Not the right shape. It did not work. So I have to do it like this and then die cut this end out. So what I could do is just take this scrap piece, the fallout piece, and lay that up there if I don't feel confident in making a nice little cut-in piece, and just flip the cutout, the dropout piece over here as kind of a pattern. Or you can just freehand it, whatever you feel comfortable doing. But now I can use this little Noel piece on anything. I can use it separately from this ornament. So there's 3 ways to do the ornament: stitched with gems or just on its own. And I think that is beautiful on its own as well. And just pick up your color choices. The greenery on this one is again from the holiday greens. So just pull out whatever greens. I will say, they're all kind of similar from year to year. So you will probably have something in your stash. Okay, day 2 is Merry and Bright. I did not stitch this one because, to be honest, it was just a back stitch all along here. And I thought, I just didn't like it enough to spend the time stitching it. And I wasn't going to even put gems on it, but I did do that. I love the Merry and Bright, or the Merry and Bright. And then I could also find another ampersand, and it's something else if I didn't want to use this one. But I almost like this one, just holes. And we'll take a look at that in a minute. I just made a tag out of this. The other times I have used this on a card, so we'll take a look at that as well. But I do like it gemmed up. This one I will not stitch up. That's just my personal preference. And here's the topper tags. I had that out from Karen Burniston. So I just thought, I'm going to pull that out and use that for my tags again. Any tag die would work. So this is day 2. And we're going to look at Merry and Bright again, because you can combine these if you want. So day 3 is this Christmas tree. And some of these I used on cards, some I used on tags or little gift boxes. So you can see it stitched. Now this one, there is a picture with all of these when you open your kit. So let me show you, because this is the only one that I did have to go back and look at. So let's look at day 3 here. So on the inside of the flap, you can see how it shows you how they stitched it. And a lot of times I do it the way they show. And then after that, if I want to play around and change it up, I can do that. Happy Holidays, that little banner, that's pretty cool. How that can go around. I just love these little banners. And again, if you want to use it, Happy Holidays, we're going to look at that in another way. So if I want, I can put that little cut in on the opposite end. So we'll take a look at how I did that in a minute. But this is a stitched version. And when I was going through my Tim dies again, I came across this cover plate die for the snowflakes. This is called Arctic. And again, I think this is retired, but if you like it, look online to see if it's out there. And Winter Wonderland, I just went through and pulled out a bunch of dies from various places for my sentiments. So this one is from Holiday Word Script. So I can mix and match those words up, and it just was the right size. So there's the tree stitched. So let's look at it with just gems. And I'm going to pull this back. I'll tell you how I did my little glow, because when I found this paper was the inspiration for this card. I just loved this paper that I found in my stash. So you can see all the gems. Now, I will say on this tree, the holes are all along the outside edge. And then it's embossed here, and I don't know if you can even see that. There's a little design embossed. So in the center of each of those designs, I just put another little gem. And then, if you wanted to add a few more, you could certainly do that. That great banner, and then the star, and then there's this little lace piece there on the bottom. But I did not have a globe die that fit this. I looked at the one from Tim Holtz, the first globe he came out, but it was like a 1/4 inch too short to contain the tree. And I looked at some of my uh, plastic little shaker packs, but nothing large enough. So what I finally did was I just took my nesting circles, cut out a piece of acetate, and I just laid those dies down till I found one that contained the whole tree, but yet I could keep it on an A2 size card. And then I thought, I need a base. What am I going to do? I'm not good at just hand cutting things. So I went back through my dies. And if you're going to do this, don't look at the picture. Just look at the back side of the die set. And I saw this and I thought, there is a base. It gives you the impression that it's a base of a snow globe. It's actually the saucer to the cup and saucer, but I made it work. I altered it a little bit, made it work. And my saucer comes from the Tea and Coffee pop-up from Karen Berniston. But again, just go through your die sets. Look at them this way, because then it's easier to envision if something like this could be a base for your snow globe. So that is our tree with gems. And then I did it without anything. And I didn't like just having the holes. I thought that looked kind of funny just to have the holes around the edge. So I embossed this. And if any of these came out, I just kind of stuck them back in and put a little piece of tape behind there so they wouldn't come out. Most of them stayed in. And I'll just use the embossed design. And then the holes aren't quite so obvious, because I think if I punch those out and then laid it on a piece of colored cardstock, a different colored cardstock underneath, that just looked funny to me. So I just left them as they were, left them in there. There's Happy Holidays again, and there's Merry and Bright. And I did not do anything. You can just see the holes. And the and does not have like a background die. It just has the and with the holes, the ampersand with the holes. But I think that works. So another way to use the tree plus adding day 2. And there's the tree. Day 3 is the tree. Stitched, gemmed, and just plain. So I think those all work good. Then day 4. So I did day 4 on a little gift box. I didn't put any ribbon in there yet. I need to go through my ribbon stash. But this is what day 4 is. So there's several dies. There's like a base die, like a postage edge die, and then this one with the music notes on it. So you can see where it's stitched around the edge. And then we have our ornament that you can stitch inside the ornament. And I did put a gem. You don't have to, but that gave it a little more sparkle. Then this darling little bow is 2 pieces. So again, you could use this postage stamp one on its own, and really, depending on what you're doing here, you could use that on its own and put something else on top. And then that bow, definitely you could use for anything. Maybe have a little box you want to make a package. That would be perfect. It was a perfect size for a little gift box. So my gift box is from Karen Berniston, the mini gift bag. So if you have any kind of a gift box or a little bag, perfect. So there it is stitched. So let's look at it. I did it on a tag with just some gems. So I put those gems in the holes on the second layer, and then I just put a bunch of gems on the ornament. Oh, and I forgot to put the bow on this one, so I'll have to do that. The tag again is from Karen Berniston's die set. So quick and easy if you want to have a fancy little tag for a package. And then with nothing, I really like this one with nothing. So this, I made a card. I did something a little different. Instead of cutting out like the die on a piece of paper and laying it on top, I used the postage edge die and cut into the card base and then covered the back of it. So I didn't put any backer on this because I wanted to show you. I just covered that hole with a piece of paper that came through, and then I layered the second piece on with all those holes exposed. And then here's the ornament. And there is a circular die that's solid, so you can cut out a piece to shine through. If you can see the the red shining through the ornament, and then the bow. And the other thing I love this is this little bitty cheer. You can see it in this one pretty good too. That is part of the second layer and is embossed, and then the pieces fall out if you emboss it. If you run it through hard and with enough pressure, then the little pieces fall out and show the color underneath. And then I use Merry and Bright again. Did not do any gems or stitching on that ampersand. So I like that one too. And I really like cutting into the cardstock rather than just cutting another piece and layering it on top. So we've got our stitched, our gemmed, and our plain here. And really, if you wanted to combine these, say maybe you wanted to leave this open and then just stitch the ornament because there's so little stitching on this, you could do something like that where you have just a little bit of stitching and everything else is just the open holes with the background paper showing through behind it. So that's day 4. Day 5 is this little cup. And I made mine like cocoa or hot chocolate because I figured that might be dripping over more so than coffee. And then the stitch pattern are these trees. And then all these pieces here, the marshmallows, the cream, the straw, the cup, and then your drink are all included in that die set. So there's a lot of pieces in these die sets again. Here's Happy Holidays. That's from the tree. But this time, if you can see, I cut the other end out. So I just took off that little, there's this little notch piece. I trimmed that off and then flipped, like I took this in and laid it up here just to kind of give me a little help in making sure that was nice and neat. Same thing here. I took this in and laid it over here so I could trim that out. And then I wasn't sure what I was going to do with this, and I knew I had this long pole from a die from Simon Hurley and Spellbinders, the North Pole Sentiments. And I thought, this looks good, like hot chocolate. A place you could get some hot chocolate. So that's what I did. I put it on that pole. I kind of like the look of that. It's a little unexpected way to show off hot chocolate. That's the stitch version. So the gem version, I made into the little gift bag again. You can see that now. When it's just holes, and we'll take a look at that in a minute, there's really, you can't tell what the design is. So I just put 3 different colors of gems, and I added one like down here, and I'll show you on the next one because there was kind of like an open space, and you can't tell it's a tree at all when you stick the gems in it. So I just added one there just to kind of make it a little more symmetrical. And then I want to show you without anything. Now, I'll be honest, I don't like this version because it doesn't really have any distinguishable pattern. And you can see right in here is where I added the extra gem, kind of where the tree trunk would be. So on this one, I will go back and gem it or stitch it, or you could draw it in. If you had a pen, you could draw in that tree. And so it would look like something other than just a bunch of holes everywhere. So either stitch, gem, or draw in those lines so that you have a tree shape. And this is day 5. And then finally, day 6 is this darling bear. And I made mine a polar bear. But again, you could use it and make it a brown bear, black bear, whatever color bear. So the stitching on this one is on the scarf and the tummy. And then the snowflake also comes with this die set. So this is a good size die. And I did put, I used pearls this time. Now, if I were going to mail this, because that pearl, sticks up quite a bit, I probably would just omit the pearls and either maybe you could put a sequin or just leave it bare. But I did decide I'll go ahead and put one on this one. Season's Greetings, again, is from one of Tim's old die sets. And this is called Handwritten Holidays. So again, just pull out a bunch of sentiment dies and you can do whatever you want with your dies. So there's our bear stitched. And then I thought, I'm going to make a pink bear. Not everything has to be white. So here's my gemmed up bear. And the snowflakes again. So the tag is from Karen Burniston's tag set. And just, this is a little pink bear for a little gift tag. And then finally, a bear with just nothing but holes and paper popping through it. Again, I made this one white, but you can see the background paper. Now, on this set, there is no solid background die for this piece, and it's not quite a circle because it's cut out on top, but you can't see that because of the scarf. And the scarf does not have a solid die either. It's just this top piece that you see with the holes. Easy enough just to glue these pieces down on top of another colored cardstock to show through the holes, and then just trim around it. I mean, that was super, super simple, not difficult at all. And then that way I can have my holes colored, a contrasting color. And then Believe is from Tim's die set that we looked at earlier. Let's see if I can find that real quick. Again, use any sentiment that you want. And of course, oh, here, I have it right here. Holiday Words script. But whatever would fit on this. And this is a box from Elizabeth Craft Designs. This is from the pizza box die. I love this because you could put some kind of a cookie or a sweet treat in there. It's a great size, and it's not humongous. It's probably, I'd say, what, a ½ inch tall. The depth is a ½ inch, but that bear fits on it perfectly. So there is day 6, stitched, gemmed, and plain, just paper. So I am looking forward to what the next 6 days holds for the Stitchmas kit, the 12 Days of Stitchmas. But I definitely think I'm going to be using some of these for holiday cards, because there's a lot of different options I can do with some of these. So if you are started or you're still in kind of the thinking mode, what am I going to do? And you're either into stitching or not into stitching, here's another option, the 12 Days of Stitchmas, for some more holiday card ideas. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again in a future video.